Welcome to Life Plus Plus, where we aim to add more value to life by sharing knowledge, life lessons, and combined experiences from our friends, colleagues, and associates. In each episode, we'll be talking about real life issues and things that are important to you. So if there's anything you want us to discuss, leave them in the comment section below or email us at lifepluspplus@thethrowdown.com. Throwdown is THATHROWDOWN. This episode is brought to you by Kososhi Clothing. Welcome to episode 13. I am Lambo the Virus. And with me today, this guy I've known for almost 3 decades. And if anyone has any knowledge about what we're about to talk about today, or the sort of things we're talking about today, it's this guy, Robert. What is good, brother? How you doing, man?
Man, it's a pleasure, man.
Now, this guy, they always shake me that time for Unilag with your sandpaper hand. This guy. You know, say that time, I be butter that time now.
Once a butter is always
I
a
don't
butter.
change. I don't change.
Once a butter is always a butter.
How you doing, man?
Man,
What's
I'm
happening?
good, man,
What's
I'm
happening?
good. It's been a while.
Yeah, it
but
has been.
I mean, so far so good.
Yeah.
I've always been a very keen observer of of these particular projects. You know, like I always say, and before we started this program, I told you, I said, look, may you die empty.
Amen. Now, good thing. He's not wishing me death.
Exactly.
He's not wishing me death, yeah.
So you've got a lot of ideas, which I find very, very, very endearing and inspiring.
Thank you, man.
And I'm grateful that I'm a guest.
Thank
I feel
you,
highly
thank you.
honored to be invited
Thank
to be
you.
a guest on this project.
No,
So,
man, no. It's only, you're worthy.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Thank
worthy.
you.
No,
It's
seriously.
great.
Because I know the sort of things that we discuss off camera, obviously, and they are the type of things that people would want to hear.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's only right that we actually discuss it in the open. You
Indeed,
know,
indeed.
what have you been up to, as in, you know, in life in general?
Well, generally, like you know, I came to this country some few years ago to further my education, and the cause of my studies or acquisition of knowledge, I kind of decided to stay back. I've kind of dipped my toes in a lot of industries. I've had some kind of checkered career, so to speak. Oil and gas, banking. At the moment, I am kind of freelancing in the finance world with specification in credit control and financial reporting.
Okay.
Having said that, I also try as much as possible to dip my toes in politics and other contemporary issues around the world. I'm a keen. I have a keen interest in politics. So and that's what I would really love to, or I've come here to discuss about, especially the Brexit quandary
Yes.
that is enveloping
Yeah.
the United Kingdom.
And it's become a monster in the past couple of months.
You're being kind if you use the word monster because it's apocalyptic, so to speak. It is. It is. Look, I mean, okay. Let's just go back to how it all started. David Cameron actually used that as one of his manifestos in the 2015 elections, and at the end of the day, he won. I believe one of the main reasons why he won was, offering a referendum.
Yeah. Which I feel was a bad idea, but go ahead.
You have a point there. You have a point. However, I've had these discussions with people.
Yeah.
People think it was a bad idea. I completely understand that. But the thing is this, let's be very, very frank. If David Cameron did not call for a referendum when he did, have you thought of the hatred, the divisions that would have been perpetrated, unknowingly in this country by the far rights? Have you thought of how the kind of groundswell support that the far right party like UKIP would have had?
But that was there already, don't you think?
No, it was there,
Yeah.
but the thing is, so many people, especially the people who felt they were kind of neglected, would have lashed on this referendum issue because they were concerns about immigration,
Yeah.
being, I mean, most of the it's a bit facile and kind of comical, to be honest, because the kind of reasons that were adduced by Brexiters or leavers
Yeah.
about the EU,
Yeah.
they're just a bit funny. They're talking about immigration. They're talking about poverty. They're talking about Britain being told what to do,
Yeah.
which they were all based on lies and falsehood.
Agreed.
They're all based on
Yeah.
lies and falsehood. The problem, as far as I'm concerned, about this referendum result is this. I voted Remain. I was a staunch Remainer. I remain a Remainer. However, from both sides of the divide, the Remain camp had a serious issue with hubris complacency because everybody thought we were going to win. David Cameron did not think that the British public would be so stupid, I mean, for want of a better word, to vote to leave.
Yeah. Isn't that part of him being supercilious?
No, of course, of course.
Exactly,
No. That's I accuse him. I mean, I blame him for that.
Yeah.
Not just him. I blame the whole establishment or elite establishment.
Yeah.
You know, because we did not really harp on the gains of the EU. We didn't. We just believed that it's we are home and dry. We did not keep the powder dry as it was supposed to be, which was a shame. You know, the EU has freedom. Who says freedom of movement is bad? It's a bad thing. There are four principles. Exactly, the four principles of the EU. You have freedom of movement of people,
Trade.
goods, services, and capital. So, Lambo, you're a brother, right? You've got kids. I'm not fortunate enough to have any kids yet, but...
You are, because you can have...
No, I can, but at the moment, I'm not in the position to do that. That's what I mean. Stop being cheeky.
Go ahead.
You know, Lambo's kid can up sticks today from the United Kingdom, go to Spain, and start a life afresh without going through the bottlenecks of regularizing his papers or his stay. There are 3.5 million people in this country who are from the European Union. They are in the NHS, the banking sector, the legal department. They do all sorts of stuff, you know, that help this country. Now, the people complain. You have a lot of immigrants in this country. You have a lot of EU citizens in this country coming to take our jobs. With all due respect, look at these guys. Most of these guys who complain about immigration and the EU citizens that come.
They're always the dregs of the society.
Exactly. They say they're coming. You don't have a job.
I know.
You don't have a job. Now they're complaining that they're coming to scrounge from this country. According to OBR, Office of Budget and Responsibility, it says that they state that there are only 3.5% of these 3.5 million people, million EU citizens, who live in this country that rely on benefits. That is minuscule. It's next to nothing.
It is. But remember that for something to catch fire, in regards to rhetoric, it's you just need not even a large majority nowadays. You need the loudest people to just run with that rhetoric.
You know, a friend of mine once said that the truth is not good enough in today's world.
It's not.
The truth is not good enough.
No, I agree with that.
Such premise or such maxims run deep. You know, because I've come to realize that, like you say, he who shouts the loudest is the cock that crows the loudest. So he's the he-man. I mean, look at issues, this populist ideology that has fed this demagoguery. You have people like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I was trying to avoid that name, but
Yeah,
I just have to
when you mention the demagogues of our time now,
Exactly.
yeah, it has to be him. But I hope you're not putting Boris in that.
No,
bracket.
the issue of Boris Johnson is this. I'll be honest with you. When Boris Johnson was the mayor of London, I really admired him. Very charismatic guy,
Yeah.
very down to earth guy, very endearing, approachable guy, affable guy. However, he has a retinue of advisors who are not advising him right. If Boris Johnson can divert his charisma, his rambunctious nature into something positive, as opposed to kind of whipping up hate sentiments within the country, right? Now, okay, I will go back to the EU referendum.
Yes,
I'll be honest with you now. I will go back to the EU referendum. Now, Remainers lost the referendum. Whether you blame David Cameron or not, me, I don't blame him. But I mean, I do respect when people say they blame him. Now, David Cameron left. He couldn't stand to clear the Augean stable, that is Brexit. Theresa May came in. I had always, my issue or my opinion about Theresa May has been initially that of adoration and respect.
Yeah. Because of how she carries herself.
Courage.
Yes, I know.
She has that presence. She has a personality.
Yeah.
That's kind of dwindled into exasperation.
Why?
From exasperation, I'll tell you why. From exasperation towards the limelight of her career, or as towards the limelight of her prime ministerialship, it's went to disgust. I'll give you a reason. First thing first, when Theresa May came and became prime minister, I was like one of our page boys. I mean, clamoring for her because I don't, like you said, her courage.
Yeah.
First thing first, when I knew that there were problems, was the first thing she did was, or let me say, if I was advising her, what I would have advised her was, first thing first, guarantee the rights of the 3.5 million EU citizens. It would have been a way of appeasing the EUs, the EU countries, the EU countries.
Yeah.
Because there was no way in hell where you have guaranteed the rights of these people, because for some reason, for some way, that would kind of eviscerate all forms of uncertainty in business.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of EU citizens that worked with me that they've left because of the uncertainty. Imagine your work colleague coming to work, even crying. I'm not exaggerating.
I noticed it as well at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was what she would have done. That was the first thing she would have done. Because there was no way in hell where Theresa May would have guaranteed the rights of these 3.5 million EU citizens.
Yeah.
That the EU wouldn't have reciprocated it.
In kind.
Yeah. Because if they didn't do that, then these 3.5 million people would have mounted pressure on their different governments. Because now what has happened is that the EU has kind of left it for the individual countries to do, which I kind of have a very, very strong reservation about. That's the first thing she would have done. Secondly, I don't know, for some reason she started threatening the EU, saying that she was going to make London a tax haven. Lambo, it's a numbers game. We are dealing with 500 million people against 65 million people. 65 million UK residents or UK citizens or population of the United Kingdom, and 500 million people as a bloc. You don't do that. At the end of the day, she had to scale down on that. Then, thirdly, she triggered Article 50 without necessarily making a very, very, very empirical reconnaissance, research work. Yes,
what
of
it
what it
entailed to
entailed.
actually,
Exactly. She did it. So she was a bit nebulous. That's on the Brexit side. Now, in her prime ministerialship as in the United Kingdom, Theresa May was one of the ladies. Her mantra was just about managing the people who are under the breadline or just on the poverty line. You know, the vigor with which she drove that mantra, I was endeared to her. But they were all words, empty words. You know, when was the last time Theresa May talked about jam, just about managing? People just about managing. That was one. Secondly, do you know that in this country, the number of food banks have risen
Yeah, of course.
from 2015 till date?
Yep, they've risen.
Exactly,
Yeah.
to about 50%. No, 60% actually.
Why would you feel they've risen? Is it that there are no jobs?
The
Or
issue-
people aren't willing to work?
No, it's not a matter of it's a holistic thing. It's kind of holistic. I'll
Yeah.
say it's holistic because there are people who have jobs,
And still go to food banks?
go to food banks. 0-hour contracts.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that's no job.
Yeah, it's no job because
It's
you're
no
not
employment,
guaranteed
exactly.
that you're going to
Because
actually-
for a month,
Yeah.
you can work for 1 week.
Yeah.
How does that pay, that wage that you earned within that week? I mean, 1 week.
Is that also
Carry
that
on.
there's not enough full-time employment? Or is it that people are taking advantage of people searching for work?
Well, again, like I said, it's a holistic thing. But people don't want to work. Some people really don't want to work certain kind of jobs. You know, I am of the opinion, I'm a Nigerian, like
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I
I couldn't tell.
nice one. Because of the kind of values we have,
Yeah.
values that our parents instilled in us, right? Some of us hold dearly and tenaciously to those values. We've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
If it gets to a position whereby I have to fall back on the welfare states of this country, I'll up stakes and go back home. What I mean, in essence, is even if it means doing the most menial of jobs, I will do it because there is no better dignity
Than in your
than
labor.
you earning your money.
Yeah, true. But how about people that don't have that option of a place to go back to?
Very beautiful
You get,
question.
yeah,
But we all come from somewhere. When you say go back to, I mean, we all come from somewhere.
yeah,
Whether you're a Caucasian or you're a Negro, we came from somewhere. So I would say that, you know, if you cannot, I mean, I'm doing it on the basis of my principles.
yes,
You know, except I am physically infirm, then I can maybe fall back
On the welfare.
states. You know, which, to be honest with you, I wouldn't really feel comfortable with. But some people kind of fleece this welfare system, which is really, really sad.
yeah.
It's really, really, really sad. So that's the reason why most people actually fall back on food banks.
Okay.
You know, homelessness has risen by about 40%. Have you ever sat down? I always tell people, like, I've had situations where I'm not coming here to gloat about my kind credentials or something, but anytime I walk past I'm a homeless person, I try as much as possible to do what I can. And people complain, say, why are you giving him the money? He could use it on drugs. I say, it is not your call. It is not your place to judge him. We are all one decision away from sleeping rough or being homeless.
Yes, I agree. There's something that you've touched on now that actually applies to everything
In
that-
life.
yeah, every single thing across board. Like the person who would say, "Why are you giving him
Yeah.
money?
Yeah.
He could use it for drugs."
Yeah.
The reason behind that question could also be a very benign reason,
Yep.
given that there have been instances where you act helping someone by
Yes.
giving him aid
Yeah.
has led to that person buying drugs and that person's demise.
You see, Lambo.
But you get that,
No,
you get that angle
I
as
get
well.
that. Lambo, if you give money to someone,
Yeah.
like £5 or let's say £10,
Yeah.
what do you expect him to do? To buy a laptop?
No, of
There's-
course not.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if you buy,
But you could buy food.
Listen. Lambo.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you can afford a situation whereby that person can have, even if it's just a moment of escapism. I've done my bits.
What if that escapism leads to the person's death? Do you get where I'm coming from?
I completely understand. But the thing about this drugs thing, right, it's not as easy as you think.
I know it's not.
It's not as easy as you think.
I know it's not.
That's why sometimes most of the mental health issue is something that's endemic in this country. Now
Dare I say globally.
Globally, very true. But
especially with the rise of social media.
Social media. I completely.
Yeah.
That's why me Facebook. I don't have a Facebook account. I only have a Twitter account for the main
Twitter
reason.
is worse, arguably.
No, I know it is. But the thing is, what I always advise people. It's very difficult. Maybe just me, because I'm kind of thick-skinned about such things. I try as much as possible not to allow people to get under my skin. Sometimes I'm so sarcastic. I've had situations where, I'll give you an example. I've had situations where I went for an interview, right? Got there. Before the interview itself, the day itself, I was exchanging emails with this guy. We were just exchanging emails. Obviously, I have a very Western name, Robert Wales. So, so we're having these conversations, via email. Then on the day of the interview, I went there. I'm not joking. Seriously, I am not joking. He looked at me and he was like, "Wow."
Now you be the Robert Wales.
Exactly. I'm not joking. Because his expectations were so high because he was only, of course, emails.
No. You have to rephrase. His expectations were not so high. His expectations were different from what the outcome was. Because when you say so high, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like you're not meeting up to his expectations.
Yeah, well, exactly.
But you're a king in your own right now.
Exactly. So at times like that, right, Lambo, I don't get angry. Rather, I mean, if being a friend of Larry Lambo, Arolo White, you do not have a very sharp sense of humor, then something is critically wrong with you. Because of the kind of insults and sarcasm, caustic sarcasm, from their Asabic tongues.
But it's a Nigerian thing.
It's a Nigerian thing. But you guys, you kind of raised the bar. You kind of raised the bar. So when I walked in and it was like, I wasn't expecting. And I just smiled, a very wry and condescending smile, like, so who were you expecting? He said, no, it's not what you think. I said, sorry.
What
do you
am I
think
thinking?
I'm thinking? He said, no.
Yeah,
no,
not telepathic. Oh, God.
So you could see that he was very, very uncomfortable. He was sweating profusely. Of course, I didn't get the job. But I made him stew in his so-called parochial encumbrances. I made him stew in it. And that is how I deal with trolls. That's how I deal with people who are acutely ignorant, but tenaciously guiding their ignorance. I've had conversations. Sometimes when you have conversations with these so-called Brexiters and leavers, they tell you, well, it's not people like you. I say, what do you mean it's not people like you? Do you know what I do? Do you know if I'm usurping the welfare state?
Yeah.
You just don't make
cast.
Exactly this kind of glibble dismissiveness. It's just ridiculous. That's the point I'm making. About this same Brexit thing.
Yeah.
Now back to Theresa May. Like you said,
you were even actually about to talk about the drug, how it's endemic and stuff. But go ahead, just talk. Feel free, wherever.
Yeah, thanks, man. Theresa May. The issue of Theresa May.
Yeah.
Now she wasn't able to. Obviously, she didn't know what it meant before triggering Article 50. Then she started with her red lines. We have to draw red lines. It's not going to be like this. It's not going to be like that. You have to, first of all, if I was advising her, like I said, guaranteed the right to 3.5 million EU citizens in this country, one. Secondly, call for a national government. National government in the sense that you bring in lawyers, medical doctors, businessmen, and students, and every stakeholder. Maybe put them in a place in Leeds or somewhere in the north. Let them discuss and thrash out this issue of Brexit. First, again, I'll go back. It's a bit convoluted. It's a bit a mishmash of discussions going on here. So please bear with me if I derail people from my train of thought.
Yeah.
The thing is, let me be honest with you. This Brexit thing, as far as I'm concerned, the margins were very, very fine. 52% against 48%. 52% voted to leave, 17.4 million, and 48% voted to remain. As far as I'm concerned, it's a democracy. It's a plebiscite.
Of course.
The results are out.
And you have to respect it.
You have to respect it.
Yeah.
Let's leave.
Yeah.
Let us leave.
Yeah.
However, I don't see the point of you being a member of a club, saying you want to leave, and they're asking you to leave, or you're about to leave, and you're saying, okay, before I leave, let us strike a deal. It doesn't make any sense. What deal?
So you are a fan of a no-deal Brexit?
No, I'm not a fan of no deal. Well, thank you for trying to, corner me on that, but no,
Okay.
I'm not a fan of that. What I am a fan of is trying to uphold the democratic processes and institutions of this country.
1,000,000%.
Yes. Now, the 2016 election referendum was the second referendum held ever in the history of this country.
Agreed.
The first one was in 1975, when after joining the EU, the EU single market and the customs. In 1975, there was a referendum whereby the Remain won a landslide victory against the Leave. That was about 66% to 37% or thereabouts. So that was good. That was a clear victory.
Yeah.
On this occasion, it wasn't the case. And as far as I'm concerned,
What wasn't the case? Is it the ratio of Remainers to Leavers?
Yeah.
But it was still a win.
it was a win. Exactly. It was a win.
Yeah.
Exactly my point. As far as I'm concerned, we should leave, deal or no deal, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be painful. Don't get me wrong. It is going to be painful because experts have advised us, even the government, Her Majesty's government's treasury, even Bank of England, they advised economists, Anna Pettifoy, Anna McVoy, what's the name of this woman? Stephanie Flanders, lots of consummate economists.
Yeah.
Even Barack Obama lend credence to this. Obviously, what I would have done, what I would have advised Theresa May to do was bring in these stakeholders. Then you also include, it should be a broad church. You should also include first ministers of all the home countries, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales. And constant consultation exercise. But she didn't do that. What she did, listen, the name is Brexit. Britain exiting the European Union.
Yeah.
It's not Torexit, Conservative Party exiting.
Yeah. But isn't that something that is now so... It's become the norm across the entire political landscape globally. People are playing politics.
As opposed to national interest.
Yeah, they're playing politics. It's become partisan.
It is. And it's a shame because, again, thank you for saying that, because one thing you have to know is human beings or leaders of these days, they don't have political convictions. Think of the days of J.F. Kennedy. Disruptive politicians. People will just come and say, okay, this is my belief. It's kind of swimming against the tide. You have Roosevelt, you have Churchill, Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
Winston Churchill, when Winston Churchill was prime minister, his party, the Conservative Party, did not like him.
Yeah.
the opposition party, the Labour Party, revered him.
Yeah. I agree with you, and I see what the connotation for disruptive that you are trying to define is.
Yeah.
But nowadays, because of the many nuances that can be attributed to that disruptive term, someone can say Nigel Farage is disruptive. Someone can say Donald Trump is disruptive. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand? So it's so important nowadays for us when we are trying to make a point as regards the type of disruptive you're talking about, to attribute the certain values that describe that being disruptive.
Thank you for picking that up. Disruptive in this sense is a metaphor for like shaking the status quo.
Yeah.
Now, whether you like, I'm not a fan of Nigel Farage.
No,
I'm not a fan.
No,
and exactly. I don't think that your political inclinations or your ideology, the way you think, would be aligned to his.
Yeah.
But whether we like him or loathe him, you have to respect him for what he did.
Of course.
You might not agree with him.
Yeah, I made that point in last episode.
Exactly. You might not agree with him. So you just have to respect him for that. Same thing with Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump is one of the, with all due respect, and I hate to say this, I don't want to whip up any kind of hatred or something, but Donald Trump is someone who I've never met, but I deeply, profoundly dislike. No, because but you know what? Because whether you like it or not, right? These people are models. They are models. You might not like him, but people like him. And whatever they say, people will take it hook, line, and sinker. And literally.
Yeah. That's the reason why he's there now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I tell people this. We are kind of, that's the thing about such conversations, like you say, it's free flow.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. I mean, I would be hated for this. But I would not be surprised if
He's
Donald Trump
re-elected. Yeah, same here. I would be surprised as well.
I would not be surprised.
I'll be surprised if
he didn't.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Because let me tell you what, Donald Trump's popularity ratings have not gone beyond 50%. As I speak, it's below 40%, about 38%. And you know what? No, 39%. Irrespective of the impeachment malarkey going on now.
Yeah.
You know what? 39% is his base. So if Donald Trump decides to defecate in a pot and put it in front of
will remain.
Yes. They will still vote for him.
That's his baseline.
Exactly. He cannot go below that.
Yeah.
So now what Donald Trump will be fighting for
is another maybe 15%.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
51%. He just needs 51%.
So
So 51 minus
11%.
Exactly. He just needs 12%, basically.
Yeah.
12%. Once he gets that 12%, he's home and dry. Another thing again, amongst the crop of Democrats, the Democratic Party does not have a resounding message yet.
Yeah.
Among the crop of contenders, right? They all have their own different. They've not really harmonized their policies per se, so it's a bit mishmash at the time. And if you go in for the attack on somebody like Donald Trump is like, again, I'm sorry, I just have to use this
bully
metaphor or something.
Yeah.
But the thing about Donald Trump is like a pig who lives in a sty. And if you have to go,
you have to get dirty.
You have to get really, really dirty. And all the politicians on the Democrats and Democratic Party's lineup, right? They are just too decent for that. You know, and I wouldn't. I'm not in any way suggesting that.
Yes.
You know, we have to go that down, that low and dirty. But it's just the simple truth. You know. So basically, again, back to this Brexit thing. There is the reason why I have my towards the end of our premiership, I got a bit disgusted and effusively disequilibrated and frustrated about her. Where one, the way she handled the Windrush issue. That's one. Two, to be honest, disappointment is not a word I use, lightly and recklessly. But I am kind of keen to utilize that word when it comes to Theresa May because she kind of disappointed. I felt a bit disappointed. That's one. Secondly, another thing she did that I really didn't like the way she handled the Grenfell Tower issue. Lambo.
She was very emotionally. She was very robotic.
Listen, you've just nailed it. See, Lambo, all she needed to do, she didn't have to even play up to
Was
the press.
to be empathic.
Just go there. No, don't even show it. Just sit down there.
Yeah.
You don't even have to. Just sit down there and don't say a word. Just sit down there. That was all they needed. George W. Bush, when the Twin Towers in America were attacked, George W. Bush was, in the ratings, he was very, very low. It was below 50%.
Yeah.
But after that, then the way he handled it, at the time, the people just needed somebody to reassure them, tell them that, look, there is hope. All is not lost.
Yeah.
Whip up, kind of raise their spirits. Don't be such a doomstar and just resign to your robotics.
Yeah.
Do you know when
And that was what she did, and it was
sad.
Yeah,
This is something that has to do with people's lives.
Yeah.
A family wiped off.
Yeah. But doesn't that show,
Yeah.
that's not just from her.
Yep.
She has terrible advisors.
And you know what? Nick Timothy, one of our advisors,
Yeah.
and Fiona Mills, two of them, their main aides, they were honored. They're on the honors list. I'm not joking. Sir Nick Timothy. If you have somebody like David Attenborough being referred to as Sir, then you have Nick Timothy, someone who single-handedly wrecked Theresa May's chances on ministerialship because she actually inherited a majority government.
Yeah, I remember that.
But after that election, 2015 election, she lost.
Yeah, she dropped.
She lost. That was why she needed the DUP to prop up her government.
Yeah, I remember.
So we have gotten to a stage in this world whereby failure, people have built their illustrious career on lies and falsehood.
Yeah. You know what it is? I'm saying, why it's such a concern for me is the fact that it has spread. There were certain times when things like this would only be confined to places like Nigeria, Congo. You understand?
Yeah, developing countries.
But you're having them here in the United
Kingdom. The cradle of democracy.
Do you understand? Now things are scary because these are the proverbial big brothers of the developing countries.
Yep.
So what standpoint do you have now? Or what moral high ground do you have to intervene in affairs of the developing countries?
Thank you. I got a tweet on my timeline. There's this political commentator in Kenya. I can't remember his name, but he had a long spread of tweets. And basically what he was saying was, okay, Boris Johnson has prorogued government, is also going to go against the Supreme Court ruling, and as such, the Kenyan government is here to... It was a very sarcastic one. It was a shake that was very, very sarcastic. And the Kenyan government will be around to assist the UK if they needed any help. It was really, really funny and very...
Wow.
It was genius. It was a very long thread of about close to 15 threads.
Wow.
Which was really, it was genius. The thing is this, right? The number of threats going out to female MPs, it's really, really sad because of the rhetorics, the invidious, vile rhetorics of these populist leaders. Boris Johnson is Prime Minister on the basis of the Conservative Party. Just about 0.2% of the population of this country voted him in as prime minister.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so the issue is this, right?
Go ahead, but the system here has so many flaws.
It has so many flaws because the thing is, like you said, MPs in this country, most of them are born with silver spoon. Very posh boys, Bodylon group, Oxbridge,
eating
you know. So most of them, David Cameron, when he finished from Oxford, he had a first class PPE, politics and political economy, politics and philosophy, politics and economy. He had the first class, smart guy, good for him. But he comes from it's like fourth generation of is fourth cousin of the Queen. They're kind of related.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. Blue-blooded. You know, Theresa May, she studied geography in Oxford. Her father was a pastor, a clergyman, a cleric. You know, she studied geography. After that, went to Bank of England and worked as a research assistant, as a researcher. That was when she made inroads into politics. You have Boris Johnson, who, again, I used to have so much respect for him because of the catharsis he provided as mayor of London. But this guy built an illustrious career out of falsehood and lies. You know, his first job, he was fired. Yeah, this was somebody who see, Lambo, laugh for all you care, but we're talking about the principles. Yeah. Whether don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting perfection.
Yes, of course.
I'm not but like in the words of Arole's dad, Mr. Edwin White, may so rest in peace.
Amen.
He used to tell me then that perfection, human being should not expect perfection because perfection is for celestial beings. I'm not trying to be puritanical here, but the truth is that if you have to be a model and a prime minister of a country or a leader of a country,
there's certain
standards and principles.
I agree.
You should imbue.
Yes.
You know, Boris Johnson whipping up this issue of calling Cameroon girl swarts, calling
people with the burqa,
exactly,
phone boxes,
watermelon smile, calling people girls' blouse in Parliament.
Yeah.
You know,
Parliament itself is very questionable. The way they conduct themselves and their processes is very questionable.
The thing is,
but that is not justifying his actions. Not at all.
Yeah,
because he's one of those people who has ridden on the adulation of people who like his entertainment factor.
Yep.
And he's ridden on that and he's used that to rise.
To rise, exactly. You know, so it's a shame. It's a shame. Okay, now this basically the Parliament was on recess. As soon as no sooner did they reconvene, he prorogued Parliament for about 6 weeks. Reason being that he wanted to make sure that they left. We left on the 31st of October. Deal or no deal. Yeah. Come what may. Yeah. We'd rather die in a ditch. Yeah. When you make such statements, you know. Okay.
Was that? Do you think that was malicious? It was illegal. We know.
Yeah.
Well. It's questionable.
No,
it's illegal. Yeah.
No. The thing, Lambo. These conversations have come up over and over again.
Yeah.
And it kind of frustrates me, you know, when people who are supposed to understand the basic principles in government.
Yeah.
In government, there are different arms of government. 3 arms of government.
Yep.
You have the executive arm of government, the legislative arm of government, and the judiciary.
Mm-hmm. Which are not functional in Nigeria. The executive is functional, but go ahead.
Lambo. There are better ways of asking me to shut my trap. Can we? Go ahead. So, you know, but in a country like the United Kingdom, where we operate a parliamentary system of government, right? The legislature and the executive arm of government are intertwined. The judiciary is independent. Now, if you know the principles in government, right? I knew this when I was in my secondary school. I studied arts in secondary school, not sciences. To an extent, some science students might not really know this, but it's very, very simple. When there is a friction between the executive arm of government and the legislature, in the parliamentary system of government, executive is obviously the government headed by Boris Johnson, and the legislature, which is the parliament. When there is a friction, or the friction regarding the use of power or the law, the judiciary steps in.
Yeah, of course.
The judiciary is sacrosanct. The judiciary is... There's what we call the independence of the judiciary. There's what you call the separation of power.
Yes.
These are principles.
Yeah.
What the Supreme Court has done, and that's what people don't understand. They are conflating it. The Supreme Court is, if you follow the proceedings, I followed it. I followed the proceedings. The QC from Northern Ireland, I can't remember his name now. He was making the case for the team that says, for Gina Miller's team that says that, look,
No Brexit.
yeah, it was wrong. It was wrong. The Prime Minister was wrong too. But he went as far as, talking about the pains of leaving the EU without a deal, talking about Brexit, how it was going to affect us. And one of the judges called him out and said, look, we are not here to discuss the gains or the losses of Brexit. We are here to interpret the law whether Boris Johnson was wrong to prorogue government, to prorogue parliament.
Yeah.
And that is a very, very important
Yes. And one that I agree with,
Exactly.
which is why I said, I know it's illegal.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, not thinking, what I am is a conjecture.
Yeah.
It wasn't malicious. It was still for the gain of the entire country.
The rulings of the the prorogation
act
of power.
itself, yes.
Yeah, the thing
That,
is,
do you get what I'm
No,
coming
no,
from? I don't feel it was malicious.
no. The thing is, Lambo, I think you're thinking like a normal human being.
Thank God.
We are in desperate times. When you have somebody as your main advisor, the de facto deputy prime minister, Dominic Cummings.
Oh my God.
So what is the father of malice,
Okay.
mischief.
Yeah. That guy is a dangerous guy.
Exactly.
That's true.
I don't want to even say,
I take it back.
things.
I take it back.
Good.
I take
Thank
it
you
back.
very much.
Yeah, take it back.
So that's it. Now, Brexit is discussed. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, we have Northern Ireland, according to the backstop, according to the deal that Theresa May, agreed with the EU, which has been voted down on 3 occasions. The way it stands, if it's really messy, because Northern Ireland, according to the deal, Northern Ireland is supposed to be part of the EU Customs Union, and also the EU Customs Union and the single market. Basically, what that means is that there will be goods and services, movement of goods and services and people, obviously, but there will be a border, which is going to be a threat to the Good Friday Agreement, which is an international agreement.
That the backstop is a terrible idea.
It is a terrible idea. Because the thing is, when they started these conversations, right, these negotiations, the EU actually advised the UK government to push the backstop on the Sea of Ireland, the Island Sea. So basically what it means is that the Northern Ireland will be in the single market and the customs union, whilst the other side, the other parts of the country wouldn't. But DUP kicked against it. The Democratic, DUP Democratic Union Party. They kicked against it. So that was their own suggestion initially. But Theresa May kind of pushed it to Northern Ireland. And the problem is this. We know what happened in 20, 30 years ago about the Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. You're talking about bomb blasts. I'm sure you knew when we were growing up at the time. It was these issues kind of emblazoned our TV sets. We used to wake up to hear this news, to see it on our TV. Thousands of people being blown up, people being killed, because you have it is between Protestants and Catholics. You have Unionists who want to be with the United Kingdom, while you have Republicans who want Northern Ireland to be part of Ireland. So it's a terrible thing. For some reason, for some kind of genius from Tony Blair, an agreement was reached. And there has been relative peace all through this while.
Yeah.
Now we just want to steer the hornet's nests.
And awaken the giants.
Awaken the giants. Because what is happening now, and in fact, after Brexit, I remember what this guy, late McGuinness, said. He was so crestfallen after the Brexit election, when the results were announced. He was so crestfallen. He said, Northern Ireland voted 62% to remain in the EU. So the UK government is kind of forcefully taking them out of the EU. That he doesn't see any reason, because now, as I speak, the Northern Irish people are actually having conversations with Ireland for them to form a country and to break out of the United Kingdom. So if that happens, if that happens, Scotland, that voted the highest to remain, would also
want
to secede.
What I want to say is this: it just shows the flaws in thinking as well of their political parties.
They are selfish people. Very selfish.
Let me even tell you why I'm saying this. If you knew that the possibility of a referendum was on the table, and you knew the implications if you were to be on the losing side, why did you agree to it?
Very valid question. When we started this conversation, I told you that the Leave side, the Remain side, of which I was part of, and I accepted, guilty as charged. Yeah. It was a collective mistake. David Cameron did not believe.
I know.
But
not just him.
Not even me.
Do you get? Even these parties that are now crying.
Yes.
You're now trying to shut the barn after the horse has.
Yeah, exactly. As bolted, exactly. It makes no sense. Because I remember having this conversation 2 days before the elections, 23rd of June. We had this conversation. I had this conversation. I still remember vividly in my head having this conversation with a guy at the headquarters, Remain headquarters in Moorgate, London there. Okay. And the guy came a few days after Joe Cox died. When Joe Cox was killed. Man. Exactly. Wow. Rest in peace. It's a shame. Very lovely MP. And the guy said, Robert, for some reason, I have an eerie feeling that we might lose. I looked at him and I said, I'm very, very sorry to say this, but I kind of agree with you. He said, God forbid it doesn't happen. Did you know that there was no contingency plan?
That's what I'm saying. The entire
because of that complacency.
Yes.
Britain till now.
Is that eating hubris?
Eating hubris, exactly. This, when leavers say, we are going to leave, according to Boris Johnson, let us invoke the British bulldog spirit. What does that even mean? Have you seen a bulldog?
No, sound, but it's sloppy, it's docile.
It wheezes, It looks constipated. What does that even mean?
I know, it's sound bites. Boris is the king of sound bites, and his followers that adulate this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Because these guys, they've not really seen any hardships.
Yeah.
You come and you shout, like, Boris Johnson is fighting, is so desperate to look like Winston Churchill. Look at him the way he walks. Look at him the way he talks.
Yeah.
Even imagine someone removing the whip from Winston Churchill's grandson, Sir Nicholas Soames. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the country is in a mess. Now, Brexit's over, right? We've discussed Brexit a bit because Brexit is like a cacophony of headlessness, so to say, because nobody knows whether it's like. Let me just sum it this way: Britain does not know what it wants, but she knows what
she doesn't
want.
Yeah. I wouldn't agree. They know they want Brexit. They know they want to leave.
So, exactly.
But they want to leave, so they know what they want.
And they should leave. Why are they waiting? Why do you want to?
It's because the parliament majority don't want them to leave.
To leave, yes.
But the general public has spoken. They've told you what they want.
What they want, yes.
Yeah. So in that sense, they know what they want.
Well, it's a bit here and there.
Yeah. I get. But I just try to. I get what you're saying. But go ahead.
Yeah. So let's talk about post-Brexit. Britain is now looking for post-Brexit deals with America and so many countries, but mostly they're the Commonwealth nations, and that's where our beloved country comes in. Yeah, depressing. Sorry, but I hate to be to be a dampener, to act as a dampener on your spirits, on your very
even that is sad, man.
Disposition.
The fact that you're actually saying that is sad.
Unfortunately, just the truth.
Yeah,
you're a very pragmatic person, so exactly. So now, the population of Nigeria, they say it's 180 million.
We know it's above that.
To be honest with you, everybody says that, but I believe we're not up to.
Why?
I just don't know, because we don't have any tool,
we do. We have
variable,
census,
verifiable,
and we know that our census is never accurate. So you always have to just increase it because not true now.
We just have to increase. I like that.
We have to increase it now.
Oh God, Lambo.
Because Nigeria.
Yeah.
Come on, we grew up there now.
Yeah.
You know you know that if the census, the objective of the census is to count everyone in Satellite Town or in Festac Town or in VI. You know they're not counting everyone.
Yep.
They will just go there, they count a few houses and maybe multiply it by 10.
Exactly.
And we know that multiplying by 10, when they're about 200 houses.
Yeah. That's no. I know what you mean. But anyway, now, according to a paper that was commissioned by PwC in Nigeria, this paper was commissioned a few months ago. Now, the growth rate of Nigeria is between 7 to 9% in the next 10 years, between now.
Population-wise or
in terms
GDP?
of economy.
Okay.
And
our GDP now is at what, F? 300 and something
350 billion.
Yeah.
350 billion pounds.
Yeah.
That's about $500 billion dollars. And obviously, they say there's a forecast that that paper actually says that the population of the country will be about 50% increased by 50%.
50%?
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me show you.
That's scary.
Yeah, but like you say, I hope I have it here.
Wow.
Yeah, 50%. I'll show that to you anyway.
50%?
Yeah. So, Nigeria, look at it. And the population could increase by 50%. This is the report by PwC. So it's not a quack consultancy firm.
Yeah,
PwC. You know. So now the thing is this. This is a huge market. It's the second. It's the black most populous
In the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nation in the world.
Yep.
It's the second largest economy
In Africa.
In the Commonwealth.
In Africa,
In Africa,
yes.
In Africa, yes.
Yes.
In the Commonwealth, we are the second after India. That is an opportunity. That is something the United Kingdom. Look at this map, like I told you, right? In 2000,
Yeah.
the United Kingdom was the highest exporters
Yeah.
of goods and services to Nigeria in 2000. In 2014, it went to 2005.
It's now China.
China, US,
Yes, yeah.
India, Germany,
Wow.
United Kingdom. So now, Britain is acutely desperate for trade deals. They will definitely look towards Nigeria.
For what kind of things are we in the conversation for when it comes to trade deals?
Trade deals.
Yes.
Right. Again, when after Brexit, when this Theresa May traveled to India to have this conversation with India trade deal. Basically, it's all about free trade deals in order to reduce taxation.
Yeah.
So that if we produce, let's say we produce this cup, let me have a sip. We produce this cup for £10 in Britain, and we want to send it to India to sell. After the aggregate cost of transportation, cost of production, and everything, if you take it to India to sell, because it's coming from abroad,
Yeah.
the government places a tax on it.
Yep.
And because there are no trade deals per se, everybody uses the WTO deal, World Trade Organization taxation
Policies.
yeah. So basically what that means is that if after spending, let's say £15 for producing it and transporting it to India, and if they put a tax on it again of say 10%, that's about, instead of selling it for 10%, you sell it for say £16.50, which might sound small for you. We are talking about volumes here. Economies of scale, volumes. To the person, to the producer of this cup, the person has to increase this in order to break even or make profits.
Yeah.
After Brexit, you can also observe that if you go to, before now, maybe you might be spending £50 a week on food and stuff every week. But now, if you are very observant, it has increased. Because the pound has dropped.
Yes.
Now, Nigeria is a massive market, 177 million, 180 million people.
Over 200 million.
Okay, let's say 200
yeah,
million.
Yeah.
That is a market, it's a huge market.
Of course.
And Britain want to tap into that. And these are the industries that the UK will focus on. You have the machinery, transportation equipment. That's power generation, electricity.
Are you talking about generator?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Exactly. Road.
Generators are killing our GDP.
No. When you say power generator, I'm not talking about generators per se.
Okay.
I'm talking, when I say generators,
Are you talking about
generation itself.
Oh, like solar, wind.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
okay. I thought you said like,
No.
I'm Nigerian now,
Of
so when you
course.
hear power generation, you think of generator.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not even good. It's not even environmentally friendly.
Yeah, of course.
I'm asthmatic.
And it's even killing our GDP because I read somewhere, and I think I was talking to someone. I was having a conversation. Yeah, I was having a conversation with Obi, my friend, the lawyer. Do you know that 0.1% of our GDP, 0.1% of our GDP is is being generated by the sales of generators.
Oh, yeah.
Where
That's even a very, very modest estimate.
Yeah, about 1%
Yeah.
or something.
And that's a lot, yeah.
But the existence of the generators is hampering a potential 50 or so billion dollars.
Of course. The cost of doing business in Nigeria. Lambo, you've known me for about since Moses was a boy.
Yeah.
You know, by the biblical Moses was a boy.
Yes,
right?
I remember. When you were chasing, you were chasing people in Egypt then. Well, yeah.
When I go to Nigeria, I don't have my inhaler with me. Lambo, you know when we're in, like, how many times have I had asthmatic attacks? I don't use inhalers in this country. I don't. That is how bad. The air there is very still.
Yeah.
Humid, filthy.
Yeah. And the people are complaining about the air here. Oh boy.
I had this conversation with you met my friend Lisa. You spoke to her.
Yeah, I spoke to her about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you did meet her. And each time such discussions come up, she says, "Oh no, the air here is really, really filthy." I said, I'm a Nigerian, and you don't know what. He said, "Look, but that doesn't make it right."
Niger air that you can grab like this. You can hold on to the air.
It's palpable. It's palpable.
Yeah.
Some months back, I was speaking to my mom. Do you know that in Nigeria, Port Harcourt and Yenagoa and Bayelsa states, people have gone into locally refining crude oil?
I've seen documentaries.
The Sooth.
Yeah.
My mom told me, if I were to, again, this might sound a bit too, what's the word now? Too hyperbolic, for want of a better word. You know, I might be exaggerating, or I might sound too dramatic here, but maybe if I were to be living in Nigeria, I would have been dead by now. My mom told me, once I called her and we were just talking, she said, anytime she wakes up in the morning and goes to her living room, she has to ask my niece, who lives with her, to clean the place.
Wow.
Because you could see the black soot on the floor, on the table. You just need to run your finger through to see the evidence.
Wow.
The soot, you know, these are issues of environmental degradation. These days, people like Greta Thunberg, the very popular climate change activist. Okay. She's like 16 years old. You know, I'm surprised you've not heard about her. She's been in the news.
I've probably seen her.
You know, these days, I mean, a child like her.
Yeah. Is it of her own accord though?
Of course, because her mother was also a climate change activist.
So she even though what she's doing is good. Mm-hmm. I don't like the term playing devil's advocate. I'm just preferring another side. That could also be seen as a form of indoctrination from her parents. But I'm just saying,
No, but the thing is,
that's why I said it's of her own accord.
The thing
she's
is
just carrying the mantle from.
Exactly. Yeah. The thing is, Lambert, to be honest with you, it takes courage.
Yes.
And conviction. Mm-hmm. You know, don't get me wrong. This so-called climate change thing is being politicized.
Yep.
You know, all over the world. I mean, Al Gore,
he's made
billions out of it. And to be honest with you, I read in the paper some years ago when he, you know, produced that film, The Inconvenient Truth. He has a mansion that cost him $35,000 a year for electricity, for gas and heating. That's somebody's salary in a year. So what are we talking about?
Exactly.
He who comes to equity should come with clean hands.
Clean hands. You have to.
Practice what you preach.
Yeah.
It's this so-called hypocrisy.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, back to our story.
Yeah.
Nigeria.
Yeah.
These days, people are talking about climate change, reducing carbon emissions to 0.2% in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years. It is real.
Yeah.
Lambo, it is real.
Yeah.
Look at what's happening in the world.
I've seen in Antarctica the tons of
It's
ice. Like,
melting.
yeah, and it's increasing the tide.
The tide, exactly, because I was listening to I was listening to the news, Channel 4 News, 2 days ago, and this guy said every year over 1.7 million tons of ice is melting. 3/4 of this world, that's 75% of the land, of this world, is water.
Yep.
So if we increase that, again, this same program.
Say the whole world we did submerged.
This is true. This same, it was quite an
We
emotional.
thought Mami water now. I know.
Oh, wait a minute. You know, there was this girl, young girl, she should be in her 20s. And this Channel 4 reporter was, she wanted to take the Channel 4 reporter to somewhere in the Solomon's Island to show her where she was born.
Oh, I've heard of this. Where it wasn't there anymore. Was it
exactly.
Yeah,
submerged.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I've always given this climate change thing about 70% of my attention.
Yeah.
But when I saw that,
You're
because
fully,
she went there,
you're fully in now.
Yeah, she was crying. So we are talking. We've gotten to this stage where people are talking about. In Nigeria, we are talking about the basics. You buy things and you sell. You sell in Nigeria. I buy things and I sell in Nigeria. And we know what it means to operate. Look at we've just walked into your studio. There's lights. There's security. You know, everything is here. Yes, of course you pay for all these things, but at the end of the day, the comfort.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, people pay bills for something they don't get.
Phantom bills.
For something they don't even get. So, back to what I was saying about this Brexit, post-Brexit.
Yeah.
Theresa May went to India to discuss free trade deal.
Yeah.
And they told us, well, if you want free trade deal, of course, India is preponderant when compared to the United Kingdom in terms of the population. We're talking about 1.1 billion as opposed to 65 million people.
Of course.
You know, so they need India. You know, so if you want a free trade deal, then you have to give a particular quota of our people
to fall in.
Why aren't we? Exactly.
They wouldn't want that deal with Nigeria.
So why are we not, even if we don't even give them that kind of stiff, condition, why are we not positioning ourselves in Nigeria to key into this? I don't like Brexit, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity. I see it as an opportunity for Nigeria.
Of course, but when it comes to Nigeria, we already know it has to do with governance.
It
starts with governance
now. From governance, the basics are not there.
Yeah, true. But with governance, the basics will be there because we are able to provide the basics based off of the sort of resources we have that can now turn into the financial product.
Yeah.
That can actually can help us get all these things in place.
It's in place. Lambo, you are like a second generation UK resident citizen. I am like I'm a first generation guy. So, you were born here. You are British. But my brother, I think the only reason why you're even discussing Nigeria is because of the love you have for the country, and it really, really, really demoralizes you.
It does.
When you see a country that is so incredibly, bountifully
blessed,
rich and blessed.
Yes.
But still dwindling in abject poverty.
Penury.
And the poverty is so ingrained, it's been institutionalized To the point that I hate to say this on camera, but I hear people even eat fecal discharge to get money. I didn't believe it until I called White. I called White and I asked him, said, of course. He wanted to send me the video. I said, do not. Somebody, when we were growing up, right, when we were growing up, if you, your friend, let me not even go to when we were in university. I remember Lambo. In those days, we used to come and visit you, or you used to come.
Yeah.
The moment you walk into the house, your parents, they look at the book.
Yes. Of course.
Not because they are trying to size you up.
Yeah.
But this guy that is coming to see my son.
Yes. What type of person is this? Yeah.
Those social fabrics are gone.
Totally.
You know, I was speaking to Arole and I told him, I said, we need to starch he said, look, we don't have to starch it. He used a particular phrase, you know, one of those sarcastic phrases, you know. How would a 20-year-old guy be buying cars, be worth about 20 billion, 2 billion, 500 million, and nobody is asking questions?
Yeah, where did he get it from?
Where did he get it from?
They just thank God.
Hey, now we've gotten to on that level itself.
They
Religion.
thank God.
A 20-year-old boy comes and pays tithes. 10% tithes, 10 million, 5 million.
And you don't ask.
You don't ask where exactly.
Young man, thank you for
He
the
doesn't have a
tithes,
business.
but where do you get your money from?
You heard the story of this guy who was arrested by the FBI.
The one that was in Forbes?
Exactly.
Yeah, I heard.
Now, that's what, see, it's not just, the world has gone bonkers.
Yeah.
And it was this so-called insatiable appetite for wealth without value, right? I think it's being fed by capitalism. I would advise you, Lamba, I would advise you, there's a book I want you to read by Thomas Piketty, Capitalism in the 21st Century. Read that book.
Just to be clear, I like capitalism.
No, but first of all, read that book. Okay. No, see. Capitalism is not a bad thing.
Okay.
It's not a bad thing. Yeah. But this status
I'm a bit of everything.
That's what I mean.
I'm a hybrid.
It's not sustainable.
Yes. I'm a hybrid of everything.
1%, yes, 1% of the population of this world are multi-billionaires.
Yes.
As opposed to the 99%.
Yes. It does seem very...
Exactly. There's something not right. The disparity is just too wide. Yeah. It's just too much. You know? It's just too much.
Yeah, in that sense, it's unfair.
It is that's the thing.
Yeah, it's unfair.
There's no equity. Even the Financial Times, the so-called liberal paper that espouses capitalism, that preaches capitalism, the Financial Times of Thursday, they also they made this assessment. That it's time the world took a look at capitalism.
It's too much.
It's too much.
The power that these people have now
it's too much.
Wow.
It's too much. You
know? The single people now are actually determining what's the outcome of a political location.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
You know, so it's just really, really sad. And that is one thing that is also bringing about these populist ideologies.
Yeah.
You know, we against them.
Yeah.
Go back home. You know, and I ask people, there's once like that. A friend of mine was telling me she's from Portugal. She said after this Brexit thing, she lives in Southampton. She's a medical doctor, and someone told her go back home. She said, "Yes, I'm going home now to sleep because I finished."
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. You say this the naija thing. I don't want you to go back. It's true, man, because you know that's where my own heart is.
Yeah, I know, and it's sad because kids. Don't get me wrong. I'm up for smart people.
Yeah.
You know, I believe I'm an internal learner. I learn a lot from people. I might spend a moment with you, and I will learn something, good or bad, about you. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your creed, your religion, your sex. I don't give a damn. I learn from people, But this issue of moral decadency that has pervaded the societal fabric of our country.
We've passed moral decadence. As in, now we are at the rigor mortis. Rigor mortis. See this guy. Naija is, when it comes to morals, Naija is dead.
It's non-existent.
It's dead.
It's non-existent.
So when you say moral decadence, it's on its way now.
It's true. Because the next thing you say is, it's just like, okay, let me say that. The thing is, when you have all these conversations with some Nigerians, the first thing they tell you is, God will help us. God will provide. I think the only way I can sum that's facile, lame excuse.
Simplistic.
Yes, is you have a laptop and there's no internet. And you feel that you can connect the internet by God's grace. You know what I mean?
No, what do they call them? There's Wi-Fi, abi?
Wi-Fi, No, Wi-Fi.
No,
Wi-Fi.
this one go be...
Wi-Fi. No.
Now divine...
No, divine five. Graveyard ambition.
Yeah. Wow.
Graveyard ambition. God. Why do we beset or belabor God with problems that we can solve when He has given us boundless surfeit of natural resources?
Yeah.
In the words of Donald Trump, if we have nuclear weapons, why don't we just attack all these hurricanes, nuke them? That's what he said. No, he said it. I'm not joking.
That guy, man.
No, after that, he would ask American army to start shooting rains. When rain they fall, they would also shoot them.
That guy.
I've never seen somebody so inept, incompetent, but very, very arrogant.
That guy.
He doesn't like immigrants, but he's an immigrant.
Listen, Trump. Forget. Let's not even talk about Trump, man. Continue with your Naija, even though that's as depressing as Trump. It's just that connection.
It's really, really, really sad. So, everybody in the country wants to leave.
Yeah.
And they are unfortunately, we live in a country where we live in the UK, right? And unfortunately, because of the reputation of Nigeria, right? The moment you just mention that name,
that's it now.
The suspicion.
You've already been typecast.
The stereotypy. My landlord, right? You know what he told me when I went to look for in fact, I thought I wasn't going to get the place. So I just left. I just ignored it. After a few days, I called him and he said, I was happy for me to... I have, and I'm lucky to say that, I have the best landlord in the UK. Very humble family, lovely people. Anyway, I thought I wasn't going to get it. But after everything, he told me, after when we agreed and moved in, after a few months, he told me, he said, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not in any way trying to suggest anything. But I've been around. I know a lot of Nigerians. I know a lot of Africans. He's very, very open-minded. Very, man, it's incredible. He travels a lot. In fact, his wife is our age mate. His wife, she travels around the world for these humanitarian issues. So she hasn't been to Nigeria, but she has been during the war in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, yeah. So she said, in fact, she cited an example once when she said there were some Sierra Leonean warlords holding guns and being chased by Nigerian soldiers with belts. The Sierra Leonean warlords were running away with that. That was how the kind of clout Nigeria had at the time and respect. So when I told her I was Nigerian, she was like, oh, really? That was when she brought up the topic. So he told me, he said, look, when you told me we are Nigerian, I was a bit skeptical. But so far, you have allayed my concerns and fears. And I told myself, well, I understand that, but the thing is, there are good and bad people everywhere in the world.
Of course.
And I said, the irony about Nigeria, and listen to this very well. I said, the irony about Nigeria, as bad and as, battered as our reputation is outside the world, one of the few countries in this world where you can find the best brains and the best people
Without a shadow of a
doubt is in Nigeria.
Yep.
If you find someone who is morally upright in Nigeria, there are many of them.
There are many.
Many of them.
Yeah.
That you will get tired.
Yeah.
You will get so bored
Yes.
of how good they are.
Yep.
And you start suspecting them for no reason.
Yeah.
You start laughing. So when I have that opportunity, and that's the thing, I don't get angry when people start making these statements. Because sometimes it's born out of ignorance. I went for an interview again. Sorry, I keep bringing in all these experiences. Like you say, it's life.
Yeah, exactly.
I went for an interview so many years ago in Leeds. And there was this guy. He walks up to me and he says, so how is London? You must be from London. You must be coming from London. I said, no, I don't live in London. I live in Dundee. And he said, okay. Wow, okay. But you're British, right? I said, no. I'm a Nigerian. So you're from Africa? I said, no. Africa is a continent.
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria is a country in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
There are over 50 countries in Africa. Nigeria is a country. I said, oh, okay. The next question he asked me, normally, normal human, I'm not normal, like, anyway. Normal human beings will just take offense at it. And he said, so you live in Nigeria? Okay, that's Africa. So how do you cope with the lions and tigers and monkeys? Exactly. And I just laughed. I said, yeah, of course. I have lions, tigers, snakes as friends. I sleep with them, we play with them. I said, oh, really? I said, yeah, of course. When Tony Blair and the Queen, when they visited Nigeria, they also slept on trees and played with lions and slept with lions. He said, now you're taking the mickey, right? I said, what do you mean by I'm taking the mickey? If I live with lions and tigers,
if someone visits
me, exactly. They sleep with lions and tigers, don't they? He said, how does that work? And I said, listen, this world is like a book. Those who do not travel read only one page.
Word.
You don't sit down within the confines and comfort of your house and make assumptions. In Nigeria, we don't live in cubicles. We live in palatial alliances.
Edifices.
Yeah. At the time, I said my room in my family house in Nigeria, right, is bigger than my living area, my bedroom, toilet, bathroom, kitchen, and the balcony in the UK. Just my room. So you just don't sit down here and make all those facile, ill-informed statements.
Yeah.
These days, you don't even have to travel to Nigeria to know.
Exactly.
Go on the internet and make some research.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was empathetical with him. I wasn't angry.
Yeah.
And I taught him a lesson. And you could see him, he was just blushing.
You felt sorry for his ignorance.
Thank you. Exactly.
So sorry for him. Oh.
And again, like I say, I always tell people, I say, he who knows and knows that he knows, but pretends not to know and is willing to learn, is a wise man. Follow him. He who knows not and knows that he knows not is a child. Teach him. He who knows not, but pretends to know, is a fool. So avoid him. So at that time, he was a child. And I taught him something. If I did not achieve anything that day, that particular
at least you schooled him.
Yeah, at least I schooled him. And that's the best way to deal with people who are short-sighted, myopic, and ignorant.
Yeah, that's very true, man. 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. On this issue of Nigeria, No, seriously, no. Because the most recent one, because I've always mentioned it when his name comes up. So far, of all the guys that have expressed their interest of sitting in the helm of affairs in Naija, this Showore guy has stood out for me. Did you hear about the judgment?
Oh yeah. In fact, just yesterday I was reading. Although I didn't really read, insightfully.
Yeah. Same here. I'm just, following
Touch and
it.
go.
Yeah.
I think was it 2 weeks ago or thereabouts? He was
Arraigned.
the Supreme Court of Justice. Kind of.
Was it when he was arraigned?
No, it was just arraigned. It was. I think what's the word now? They freed him. They asked him.
Yeah,
to,
they
charge. They didn't charge him.
Yes,
they
and
didn't charge him. He
they
wasn't
granted
guilty.
him bail as well.
That was what they granted him bail.
Yeah.
They asked him to the police to release him, but was it the DG or something?
Yes,
PB or so, has refused to release him, and they've given the DG an ultimatum that if he doesn't release him, then that would mean that he's breaking the law.
So what happens? What when we were talking a while back about the three arms of government? So what does that say about the judiciary in Nigeria?
The thing again, the country is rotting to the core, and the delineation of powers have been obfuscated in a very, very, brazen manner, so to speak. Because when we were kids, judges were
Like they're demigods.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like demigods.
You don't even touch their cards.
Yeah.
But these days, judges and lawyers, no respect. And again, that brings back. We just have to touch. But once we have a conversation about one thing, and next thing,
of course,
it has arms and limbs.
Yeah.
Look at all the sons in Nigeria. The way they fall over themselves to defend these corrupt officials. The Supreme Court, the highest court
in the land,
the apotheosis of judiciary of the land, is asking you to release someone. I don't want to go into whether Sowore was the devil or he was a saint or he was Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Let's even leave that. Like when we're talking about the prorogation of Parliament, that is not the issue.
It's what the law says.
What the law says.
Yeah.
These Supreme Court judges, they've interpreted the law, they have done their research works, and they've instructed you. It's an instruction. Whether you agree or not.
Exactly. You have
to reluctantly
yes.
agree or you are acquiescing.
Yes.
You just have to release him. You have to release him. There's no EU law where you have to because the Supreme Court of Nigeria says you should release them and you want to appeal the case to an upper. No.
That is the
That
final.
is the final. Yeah.
It's not a suggestion.
It's not a suggestion. They are asking you. They don't even ask. They are telling you. It's an instruction.
Yeah.
So why are you keeping him in
I
incarceration
don't know, man.
anymore? Any longer than he should? So it is really, really sad. Sowore, he is an Akokite.
Yes.
And we didn't meet him, but we read about him.
Yep.
His legacy stood at on campus at school, and whether we like his policies, whether we liked his policies, or we still like his policies, or we like him as a human being, there are certain ways we have to kind of make our disagreements without necessarily trying to pull him down.
Yes.
Sowore is like a beacon of hope for up and I don't know him. I'm not saying this because I want some kind of credit.
Yeah.
I'm vying for to advise a special advisor to him. I don't know him.
Yeah.
But from afar, is a beacon of hope for up and coming prospective politicians with good intentions.
Yeah, with good intentions. Key on that.
With good intentions. And again, for so long, this so-called evil cabal by these nonagenarians, like people in their 90s, 80s, septuagenarians, what are they doing in power? Can they even operate an iPhone?
Where the treasury is the national insurance.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it's not, what they're going, their pension.
Old wine in new bottles.
Yeah,
it's like it's not it's like an EP wine. If you are in the wine trade, and premium wines, these wines are wines that taste better when they get older. As in, what happens is that you pay for them, but you don't get delivery of these wines immediately. It could take 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Doesn't matter. As you pay for them, that's when they start, processing it. So I don't understand why this so-called old brigade. Have you ever thought about it? Buhari having a conversation with somebody like Barack Obama, or Macron.
Only if they need him as a soporific. if they want to fall asleep.
Sleep inducers, basically. Or someone like Angela Merkel.
No.
We are like, personally, again, sorry for saying this, but at my age, no matter, yes, the girl might be smart or something, but I couldn't possibly date a girl who is below 30 years.
Yeah.
The generation, see, Lambo, I've not seen you in like donkey months or years.
Yeah.
This morning we saw conversation started.
Yeah, you just come back.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep going.
Yeah.
There are some euphemisms, some metaphors that we use.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Why? Because I went to Unilag with you.
Yes.
We understand that. And we are Nigerians.
Yeah.
So if I have to date somebody who is below 20, below 30s, below their 30s, and I start talking about certain issues,
it'd be alien to them now.
Exactly. Except the ones that are.
God.
It's a sad story.
It is.
It's tragic.
It is. And what's even sadder now is the fact that because of time, that we have to round this up, and you definitely have to come back.